the upperclassmen better distinguish the new faces in the class of 2011.
I love you, Snuggle!
Now, in this lecture, I'd like to switch, flip the tables a little bit. And we're going to give the first years a couple tools to help distinguish among the class of 2010. Okay, now these tools include cultivation and antibiotics. So to cultivate Einstein students, you have to provide some sort of growth media. Now there are a lot of different types of media, so we're going to start today by discussing the differential media. Now each different differential media has some kind of chemical additive that produces a visual indication. For example, a color change when one particular type of organism grows on it. Other types of organisms, not inhibited, they just don't produce the color change. So let's start by taking a look at some of the differential media that we have available. The first, we have these two organisms. Now they produce a color change when grown on EMB agar. Now as all of you know, EMB is short for extremely massive backpack. Now interestingly, one of the EMB positive organisms also grows on Russo-Tardy agar. Okay. Now, Russo-Tardy agar changes color when exposed to vodka, lateness, and scavenging. Okay, let's settle down, guys. Let's keep a serious yeah, okay. Yeah. Now, next up, we have Cupid's agar. This is one of my personal favorites. Now, this agar is unique in that you need multiple physically intimate organisms growing at the same time. So, for example, these two. That's not a joke. They're married. That's not a joke. Additionally, we have these two. And these two. And these two. Now you can add a second compound to Cupid's agar called Onan's reagent. And just like with Cupid's agar, you need multiple physically intimate organisms. But the difference here is that with Onan's reagent, you're really only going to see the color change if I can think about the organisms being intimate when I'm masturbating. For example, we have these two. And these two. And finally these. Now, as far as differential media are concerned, the last one that we're going to talk about today is the binary agar. Now, this agar changes color when organisms produce large streams of digital data. For example, annoying listserv emails. Now, moving on from the differential media, we have the selective media. Now, these only grow one type of organism. The other organisms are inhibited. So we only have one organism growing in selected media. The first one we have is paternity broth, which grows daddy organisms. Now that's a pretty broad class of organisms. So we can enhance the specificity by adding ooze reagent, which will switch it from daddy organism organisms to baby daddy organisms. Now next up in terms of selected media, we have zealots agar. Now this medium only grows religious fundamentalist organisms. But there are a lot of different types. So to make it more useful, again, we add a secondary compound. For example, if we were to add, say, inconvenience. Organisms that thrive on inconveniencing others they're going to grow like crazy. They're going to take over. They love it. They just love it. Likewise, if we were to add a little bit of Jesus, we get devout Christians. And finally, if we put zealot agar in a golden petri dish, Mormons. So, lastly, with regard to selected media, we have the agar of hate. Now this one's a little interesting because it shows selective growth of two types of organisms. Usually selective media only selectively grow one. This selects for two. The first we have organisms that produce a lot of hate. So these are basically your dickhead organisms. But in addition, we also have organisms that inspire hate in others. Dick face organisms. So we've talked a little bit about the growth of organisms. Let's move on to the death of organisms. Now, as we all know, antibiotics are compounds that